In this video, you are going to learn about composite functions and inverse functions. We start with the composite functions. I have a function f. F is a function of x. I am taking this function and putting another function g of x in place of x. This function is called a composite function. So, a composite function is a function of another function. This is a composite function. We write this as f, a small circle, then g, parenthesis, of x. This is the notation for this composite function. We read this as f of g of x. So, f of g of x is equal to, write f and inside put g of x. Like this, g of f of x is equal to, write g and inside put f of x. Now we are going to do this problem. Given f of x is x squared minus 7 and g of x is this. You need to find f of g of x and g of f of x. These are composite functions. You need to find these. First, we will find this one. Write this. This is equal to f of g of x equal to f parenthesis g of x is this. So substitute this for g of x. Close the parenthesis. This is equal to, you have f. F is this. Here you have square root of x plus 10. But here you have only x. To find f of this, you need to substitute this for x. So this is equal to, this x is this, square root of x plus 10. Now there is a square here, 2, you put that, put parenthesis and the square, then negative 7. This is equal to, this is a square root and you are taking a square. This square removes this square root. So you get x plus 10. Then negative 7. This is equal to x. Positive 10, negative 7 is positive 3. So this is the answer for this. Now we do this one. Write this. This is equal to g of f of x equal to g of f of x is this x squared minus 7. You put that, close the parenthesis. This is equal to, so here you have g is this, and inside you have this. To find this, g of this, you need to substitute this for x. So equal to square root of, so this x is this x squared minus 7 plus 10. This is equal to square root of x squared negative 7 positive 10 is positive 3. So this is the answer for this one. In this problem, you are given f of x and g of x. You need to find f of g of 2. This is a composite function. Write this. This is equal to f of g of 2. Here g of 2, there is a number here. What you need to do is you first find g of 2. You are given g of x, that is this. You need to find g of 2. Substitute this 2 for x. So you get g of 2. G of 2 is equal to, this x is 2 plus 8. That is equal to 2 plus 8, 10. Now substitute this for g of 2. You get f of g of 2 is 10. Now you need to find f of 10. This is f. You need to find f of 10. Substitute 10 for x. So this is equal to negative 5 times x is 10 plus 6. That is equal to negative 5 times 10, negative 50 plus 6. So this is negative 44. This is the answer. In this problem, you are given f of x and g of x. You need to find g of f of 4. This is a composite function. Write this. This is equal to g of f of 4. Now you need to find f of 4. F of 4. So this is f. You need to substitute 4 for x. So that is f of 4 is equal to f of x is this. Substitute 4 for x. So you have 3 times, so 3 times x squared. X is 4, so 4 squared plus 6 is equal to 3 times 4 squared is 16 plus 6 is equal to 3 times 16, 48 plus 6, that is equal to 54. Now substitute this here because f of 4 is this. So this is equal to g of 54. Now you need to find g of 54. So this is the function g. You need to substitute 54 for x. So this is equal to square root of, so the x is 54, 54 minus 5. So that is equal to square root of 54 minus 5 is 49. That is equal to square root of 49 is 7. So this is the answer. Inverse of a function. Here I am taking a function f, that is f of x is equal to 4x minus 2. Now I am going to make a table for the x and the y values of this function. For x, I am taking some numbers. I am taking 0, 1, 2 and negative 1. Now I am going to substitute these x values and find the function values. The function values are the y values. So first I am going to substitute x is equal to 0. So f of 0 is equal to 4 times x. So 4 times, so x is 0, negative 2. That is equal to 4 times 0 is 0 minus 2 is equal to negative 2. Put this here. Now put x is equal to 1. You get f of 1 is equal to 4 times x is 1. So 4 times 1, negative 2. So that is equal to 4 times 1 is 4. 4 minus 2, that is equal to 2. Now x is equal to 2. You get f of, okay, put this value here. Now x is equal to 2. You get f of 2, that is equal to 4 times, so x is 2, negative 2, that is equal to 8 minus 2 is equal to 6. Put that here. Now x is equal to negative 1. You get f of negative 1 is equal to 4 times x, 4 times negative 1. Put a parenthesis because of the minus sign. Now minus 2, that is equal to, this is negative 4, negative 2 is equal to negative 6. Put that here. So this table represents this function. Now what I am going to do is I am going to switch x and y. I am making a table and switching x and y. So this y goes here and x here. So this 2 here and this here. 6 and 2. So negative 6, negative 1. This is the inverse function. So this represents the inverse function of this function. So this is the function and this is the inverse function. you get to the inverse function by switching x and y. So we write the inverse function as f and put a minus 1 then of x. So this is the function, this is the inverse function. So this is the notation for the inverse function. You read this as f inverse x. Note that f inverse x is not equal to 1 over f of x. So this is a notation for the inverse function. This doesn't mean this is equal to this. Next, the domain and range of an inverse function. You know that the domain of a function is all the x values and the range of a function is all the y values. We get to the inverse function, that is the inverse of this function, which is f inverse x, by switching the x and the y values. So for the inverse function, the domain and the range switches. Therefore, the domain of the inverse function f inverse is the range of the function f, and the range of the inverse function is the domain of the function f. You need to note that not all functions have inverse. Only a one-to-one function has an inverse function. Next, finding inverse function. Here I have a function f of x. This function is given as a set of ordered pairs. These are ordered pairs. That means this is x, this is y, this is x, y, x, y. You need to find the inverse of this function. To find the inverse function, you need to switch x and y. Switch x and y. You will get the inverse function. So the inverse function is 8, 4, 9, 3, negative 8, 11. This is the inverse function for this function. Now we are going to do this problem. A one-to-one function h is defined as h is equal to this. You need to find h inverse of 8. Here the function h is given as ordered pairs. These are ordered pairs. That is, this is x, this is y, this is x, y, x, y, x, y. To find h inverse of 8, first you need to find the inverse function. That is h inverse. To find the inverse function, you need to switch x and y. Switch x and y. You will get 0, negative 3, 8, 2, negative 5, 5, negative 4, 8. This is the inverse function for this function. Now you can find H inverse of 8. Here this 8 is x. So you need to look for 8 in the x values of H inverse. Here these are the x values: 0, 8, -5, -4. You look for 8. Here you have 8. For this 8, 2 is the y value. This 2 is H inverse of 8. This is the answer. Now we are going to do this problem. A one-to-one function is defined as g of x is equal to this. You need to find the inverse function. You need to find the inverse function of this function. And B, you need to find the domain and the range of G inverse. You need to write domain and the range in interval notation. First, let us find the inverse function. To find the inverse function, first you need to replace g of x with y. So g of x is y, that is equal to, write this. Now switch x and y. You need to write this y as x and the x as y. So 3y, 8y. Now solve for y. You need to solve this for y. Here you have x. You can write this as x divided by 1. This is a proportion. So you can do cross multiplication. So do the cross multiplication. So x times this is equal to, then multiply this and this. Now use the distributive property. You multiply this and this, you get 8xy, then this and this. This is positive, this is positive, you will get positive sign. Then x times 9, you get 9x. This is equal to 1 times this is this. Now you have y here and also y here. You need to bring this y and this y terms, these terms together. So move this to the left and this to the right. 8xy. If you move this to the left, you need to change the sign. So you get negative 3y. And move this to the right, you will get negative 9x and negative 5 here. Now you need to factor out the y. So factor out y. You get your 8x minus 3. So that is equal to this. Now you divide this both sides. So cancel this and this. You get y. So y is equal to this. This y is the inverse function. So write this y as g inverse x. So g inverse x is equal to this. This is the inverse function. We have done part A. Now we are going to do part B. First, we will find the domain of G inverse. That is, you need to find the domain of this function. You see here, this function is a rational function. To find the domain of this function, you need to find the excluded values. To find the excluded values, you need to take the denominator and put this equal to 0. Now, solve for x. If you solve this equation, you will get x is equal to 3/8. This is the excluded value. Now, the domain is all real numbers minus the excluded values. Take the number line and put this number 3/8. So this number will be somewhere here. You need to exclude this number. So you split the number line into two parts. So this one and this one. So for this part, you can write negative infinity, comma, 3/8. Parenthesis, parenthesis. We are putting parenthesis because we need to exclude this number. Now this part 3/8, comma, infinity. Parenthesis, parenthesis. We are excluding this number. So you must put parenthesis here and here. Now combine these two by putting a union symbol. This is the domain of G inverse. Now we will find the range of G inverse. So you know that range of G inverse is the domain of G. So we will find the domain of G, domain of this. To find the domain of this, you take the denominator and put this equal to 0. Now solve for x. You will get x is equal to negative 9/8. This is the excluded value. Now, if you follow what we did here, for this number, you can write negative infinity, comma, so write this, parenthesis, parenthesis, union, and this number, comma, infinity, parenthesis, parenthesis. This is the domain of G. The domain of G is the range of G inverse. So this is the range of G inverse.